Hello, in this video I want to talk about Myspace versus Facebook and how Facebook crushed them and they're just dominating right now, which is just a very successful company. Before I begin, down below there's this link, and if you click it in the description there's this training on how someone like yourself can make a lot of money using various social media platforms. Now, do you remember Tom Anderson? Remember? In MySpace, the guy with the white shirt? Well, quick story about himself. He was actually self-taught. He didn't like school and all that stuff. And he stumbled on the social network of MySpace. He didn't even risk his own money. He got investors. Later, after being pressured by his partners and investors and everyone, he sold it for $580 million. And before MySpace, do you know what there was? What MySpace competed against? A long time ago? It's Friendster, right? That was a long time ago. And Friendster, well, they had too many rules. For example, there would be people who would create a profile of a town because they wanted to know who was in that town, right? Everyone would network with the town, and they can meet people, right? And Friendster didn't like it, so they actually would. They had these rules where they would crush those towns, which was stupid if you think about it, because that's like a lot of advertising revenue. They could be like, hey, well, we're in the local town. We're trying to meet people. We could pay advertising for that profile in that town. But no, Friendster wasn't the biggest genius, so they lost. And MySpace, what happened was Tom would personally invite people to MySpace through Friendster, and then when they went to MySpace, it was like a welcome party, like, hey, here's the party, right? And then Tom was their first friend. He was everybody's first friend in MySpace. But the biggest problem with MySpace is that it grew way too quickly. And they had a hard time controlling things. There was bots, sexual predators, and what happened with Facebook came about. And there's the whole big story how Mark Zuckerberg stole the idea from these two twins, which I'm not sure is true or not. But then later, these two twins made a whole bunch of money in Bitcoin, which is another fascinating beast, the whole cryptocurrency stuff. But anyways, so what happened with Facebook is they grew very, very slowly, all right? They just went to colleges, and I think it was like one college at a time. So they're very stable, very smart, almost like running like a tight ship, okay? And advertisers like that, rather than MySpace, which was completely just growing out of control. That later, well, they sold in 2005 for $580 million, but in 2008, Facebook overtook it. So they did sell too early. They could have got a lot more money out of it, but hey, still, it's a lot of money, right? All right, so anyways, let's talk about Facebook and what's going on now and how it really is dominating force and geared towards the future and its competitors, right? Because competition is all about who takes the castle. That's according to Warren Buffett. And you want a castle with moats, big walls, and a competitive advantage. All right. Now, Facebook's biggest competition now, what do you think it is? That's Snapchat. Mark Zuckerberg probably wakes up every morning looking for ways to kill it. But one big advantage of Facebook is its users. Okay, they can create a page. There's about 1.886 billion of them with tons of personal data that they share for free, and they sell that data to advertisers. Okay, Facebook is the world's biggest seller of display advertising. Now let's talk about a little in depth on why people sign for Facebook and why do people share all this cool stuff about themselves and they connect. Facebook is heart. A study from Harvard from 1938 to 1944 tracked almost 300 students for 75 years with $20 million in research money and found that happiness is love. Love is a function of intimacy and depth and number of interactions we have with people. And it really helps people, like people that are caregivers, live a little bit longer and everything, right? So in 2017, 1 in 6 people on the planet are on Facebook. It's big. It's growing in Asia. It's growing in all kinds of countries. And when you have the Facebook app open on your phone, guess what's happening? Yeah, it is true. Facebook is listening to Peeping Tom. Anything you do and say is gathered and stored. Facebook can indeed eavesdrop on noise, picking up your phone's microphone, and then send it to an AI augmented listening software. Okay, and they use this data to gather more information about you to sell to advertisers. Okay, for example, on Instagram, which Facebook owns, that was a very good decision to buy Instagram. If you double tap on like a shoe, like Vans shoes image, like, oh, that's cool, you may find ads for those very same shoes that you tapped on your Facebook feed. They sell it. And with knowledge of 150 likes, their model can predict someone's personality better than their spouse. Heck, if you're on there even long enough, they probably know more about you than you do about you. And if you think about it, if you compare that to other media stations, like, say, the TV, they're dumb. They don't know anything about you, or radio. Twitter does not know that much. Heck, millions of them probably use fake names, and 15% of them are bots. So Facebook crushed it with reach and intelligence. All right. Now, the cool thing about images is we absorb images 60 times faster than words. And Facebook's developing a new camera first interface in Ireland. It's like a clone of Snapchat. And just on a side note, when it comes to Facebook, they also hate Google. They hate YouTube. This is why if you stick a YouTube video in a Facebook feed, it dies with edge rank. Okay, that means nobody sees that puppy. They don't want you leaving Facebook. They want you to stay there, click on other people's pictures, get information, and then sell you advertising stuff. Okay? They don't want you to leave. And that's why. All right. Now, Facebook has already stolen other Snapchat ideas, because they hate Snapchat, like quick updates, stories, selfie filters, 1-hour messages. Basically, Facebook purchased Instagram for $1 billion. That's a hell of a deal. It's one of the greatest acquisitions of all time, and it's worth at least 50 times what he paid for it. Then he paid 20 times that for WhatsApp. Okay? So that's another great app as well. So Facebook will likely be the largest media company on earth, and it gets its content similar to Google from users. Brilliant idea. Billions of users labor for Facebook without compensation. Okay, we create these stories. And bigger entertainment companies, if you compare that to, say, Netflix is spending $100 million for each season of The Crown. All right? And will spend $6 billion in 2017. Yet Facebook competes for our attention and wins it. That's the new currency nowadays. It's your attention. Everyone's fighting for it, right? You get constantly bombarded with so much stuff going on. Next, Facebook and Google control, 51% of the global mobile ads spent. That's big. That's like over half of it. Nearly, just over half. Now it's virtual reality. In 2014, Zuckerberg paid $2 billion for Oculus Rift, going into that world. But there's one big problem with virtual reality. One, it's still in its early stages. But the second problem is everyone that wears a VR headset looks ridiculous. They look stupid. All right. So a former Google expert in how the technology hijacks our psychological vulnerabilities, why we're addicted to it, compares social media to slot machines. We're curious. We want to know how many things our likes will get. You know, it's like there's an addiction factor in Facebook, which is there. I believe that there's definitely some truth to that. Okay, like thumbs up. Oh, how many thumbs up will I get? And speaking of thumbs up, if you did like this video, just give me a thumbs up. Actually, yeah, if you want to. If you don't, that's fine too. But anyways, that is Facebook. And we live in some crazy times with all this technology going on, and they are powerful. You know, these companies like Facebook, Google, Apple, Amazon.com. Amazon's interesting too. It's another search engine basically, and it competes with Google. And there's another fascinating story too, which I'm gonna get into in the future, and that's with the Times magazine and Google. That's a really interesting story. The New York Times. But anyways, I don't want to cut this video off because our attention spans aren't as long as we like to believe sometimes, right? Anyways, if you're interested in making some money using these technologies like Facebook, Google, and all there's so many ways you can make money on the internet now. If you really want to learn how to do that, I highly recommend you click that link below. It's really good education and training all about you, how you, yes, can use these various technologies to make money. That's cool, right? So if you want to learn about that, just click that link below in the description there. And I hope you like this video. Wish you the best, and take care.